Hey guys, Eric Stieberg here, ESMA Fitness. Today, what I'd like to go over is how to use 2 hand wraps to wrap one hand properly and why you might want to. So, why would you want to use 2 hand wraps on one hand? The biggest reason for most people is they have an injury. I know that when I broke my thumb, it took me a while to come back before I could hit full power. And one of the things that I taught myself was how to use 2 hand wraps to make up for some of the issues I was having. This basically created a cast-like hand wrap that I could put in my gloves and be very secure that I could hit and not really worry about my hands. So I'm gonna go over the process of how to double wrap your hands, but just understand this is more of a guide than a straight up tutorial. The reason that is because there's 360 inches of hand wrap that you're gonna be using, and this is gonna be very, very different at the end dependent upon the size of your hand. If your hand is very large, you're gonna have less times you can go around. If your hand's very small, you're gonna have more times you can go around. So just take that into consideration before you start doing this. So to start off, guys, what we're gonna do is we're gonna hang the thumb loop on the index finger. We're gonna separate our fingers like so, and we're gonna wrap our fingers 9 times. 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9. Then we're gonna take this off of our fingers and we're gonna actually create a really big pad here. So if you notice, I've kind of created a giant flat pad, just like so, almost like you folded it. What we're gonna do next is you're gonna take your hand, you're gonna pinch this pad between your thumb and right next to your index finger. I would recommend going a little high up on the knuckles to start and a little more inside towards the index finger than towards the pinky. From here, I'm gonna take the wrap, I'm gonna wrap around my hand and wrap over the knuckles. This will be probably the hardest part as this one will slide around, so it will take a second to kind of get used to doing this. Now from here, you can see that I've kind of trapped this against my hand. I've only wrapped the bottom of my hand once. I'm gonna come back around. Now from here, I'm gonna go to my wrist. From my wrist, I'm gonna come back up to the outside of my pinky, back around the palm, over the knuckles, back down to the wrist one more time. From this position here, I will go around my thumb, back to my wrist, then around my thumb again, back to my wrist, finishing on the back side of my wrist. As you can see, guys, most of this wrap was basically used to just protect my knuckles. I wouldn't move around too much just yet as this can kind of get thrown off. The next hand wrap will actually secure all this into position. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to wrap the thumb loop around the thumb and we're going to pull away from the thumb towards the wrist bone. We're going to wrap the wrist 5 times down, 5 times up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we're gonna make an X shape heading up the other direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you notice the whole time I kept my fingers apart, this will keep me from strangling my wrist and then having to undo this whole thing later. From here, we're gonna come back around one more time. We're gonna come up between the fingers. We're gonna keep those fingers apart. So we're here, between the finger, around the finger, back down to the wrist bone. We're gonna use this wrist bone like an anchor. I'm gonna do the same thing on the next one. Around the finger, back, down, and around to the wrist bone. Around, and back down to the wrist bone. Around the pinky, back down to the wrist bone. If you flip your hand over, it should look like this. Each individual finger is wrapped. We have a bar in the center here, coming back down and around just like so. From here, we go back up and around to the outside of the pinky, palm, knuckles, back down to the wrist. As you can see, that secures in the knuckle pad from earlier. Then what we're gonna do is we wrap the thumb, come back around, and have just a little bit left over, and we finish up on the wrist. If I flip my hand over just like so, my thumb has been wrapped twice. All of my fingers are individually wrapped. I have this bar crossed here. I'm gonna squeeze that bar in, like so, in order to kind of create something I can grab onto. My knuckles are heavily padded here. My wrist is heavily wrapped, and when I make a fist, it should feel like it forces my hand into a punching position. That's the end of the video, guys. Thanks for watching this far. I really appreciate it. If you want to help me out, you can like the video and share the video. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below. I will respond. If you think what I did is stupid, feel free to say that too, but I would recommend at least trying it one time before you commenting. I appreciate you watching the video. It takes me a while to put these together, and you just watching this far is huge. And as always, be cool, be safe, don't be a dick, have a good weekend. I'll see you soon.